There's Bibles in the pews.
Does somebody have a King James?
Yes, we do.
Looks like you always gotta have a King James. Gotta have
Right, isn't this one a King James?
Oh, I think I got it on.
No, this is
Oh,
ours.
you have an RSV, the Communist Pinko version. RSV, no, we use those two, right? That's great. All right. Now, are you,
This one's ours.
I realize that you, every once in a while, rise to the level of your wife, but are you capable of running that?
It is on.
It is on.
It's going.
Oh, excellent. Okay.
I never rise to the ability of my
Good. Are you going to come and be present
I am
today?
going to be present here today. I am this class. The conference room is all used up.
Oh, okay. Good. All right, well, here's our outline. Are you okay outline-wise? I know your wife.
I did have one, I guess, I'll stick it in here and make sure it stays.
Okay, now, we were talking about text criticism last time. So you've been missing some great stuff on Mike posted online something from last class talking about teaching hermeneutics and how important it is. And somebody else wrote back. Now, I want to read this. This is from Tim Rosso, who is a pastor who does a thing called John the Steadfast website. And it's another one of these examples where pastors should be making calls and not being on the internet, okay? Now, listen to this. Tim Rosso says, I am glad that you are learning how to understand the Bible. Hermeneutics is actually a harmful term. We adopted it in the LCMS mid-century when we were toying with all sorts of rationalistic stuff that eventually led to the battle for the Bible. Hermeneutics is the science of interpreting the Bible. The problem is, we don't interpret the Bible. That assumes an active thinker who brings presuppositions to the act. We don't interpret the Bible. Instead, we understand it. Interpreting is active. Understanding is passive. We receive from the Word of God. Now, this couldn't be more wrong. This couldn't be more wrong. This is the view, essentially, of interpretation like this. Here's the Bible, here's you understanding it. You have to take your glasses off when you do this. I learned this a number of years ago.
I'm going to try to do it.
Yeah, well, one. You guys need outlines?
Yeah.
Okay. There are two of them there, or just one? There. Okay, good. Hey. Good. Now, I'm going to have to read this since we have an actual deconstructionist in our midst. We had a response to Mike Holman posting last time's class, and Tim Rosso of John the Steadfast said, you will appreciate this, we don't interpret the Bible. Instead, we understand it. Interpretation is active and understanding is passive. Now, this is, honestly, folks, I just even hardly know what to say to that. And I'll simply use this. There are a number of items that we will talk about today that will speak to this. But I'm going to just begin with what we did last time. I would like to know what text of the Bible you are reading, if you think you're not interpreting the Bible and you're not bringing something to the game. All right? Remember what I've said to you. There are no two manuscripts that are alike. So at some point, you have to make a decision. How are you going to do that? It doesn't jump off the page at you. But perhaps someone would say, well, we use the church's text. Well, there is no church's text. And if you think there is a church's text, here are your choices. You can take the Latin text, which is authoritative for the Roman Catholic Church, or you could take the Greek Orthodox text, which uses the Septuagint, not the Hebrew Bible, for the Old Testament, and which includes the Apocrypha. Now, is that what you want? See? At the most basic level, I mean, this is what's so interesting about this. Text criticism kind of reveals everything at the most basic level. You got to have some theory of how this text came to be. You got to have some idea of what you're going to choose. The stuff doesn't fall out of the sky. Now, this is as opposed to two groups that believe it did fall out of the sky. The first are the Mormons, who believe that there were some golden tablets buried in upstate New York, okay? And that these then were interpreted by Joseph Smith. This is actually tremendously similar to Islam, because Islam believes that Allah controlled Muhammad in this kind of mechanistic way that would be similar to this, that there's kind of a pipeline sort of thing. Whereas, and you can see the difference in the New Testament. For example, this was one of Martin Charlemagne's favorite passages. Romans 16:22. I, Tertius, who write this letter, greet you in the Lord. Well, now how do you explain that? You know Paul's using an amanuensis, a secretary, and they're talking, they're just doing this. Nobody's thinking it's like that. You know, that's not the concept. Everything is incarnational for us. So, so this will be my first response to Rasso, is I like to know what text you're reading, because every single one differs. Remember what I said to this group? Well, you weren't there. I said there was a huge effect. Thank you.